episodes. I'm Allison Fine.
And I'm Robert Penner.
And we have a guest today. We're about to introduce you to them. Well, let's start off. Let's start off with you, Good. We can introduce our guest now. Her name is Mercedez. Well, you introduce yourself.
I'm Mercedez. Cedi baby is what they call me at the shop, is what they call me online.
What shop?
AutoTroph Ink. We just celebrated our 1-year anniversary here in Tacoma.
What kind of, is that
It's a tattoo shop.
They sell sex toy? Oh, it's a tattoo shop.
It's a tattoo shop. Yep. I am a tattoo artist. I own a shop down here. Not yet. Look, not yet. I'm open to putting my logo on anything at this point.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're excited to have you on the pod.
I'm excited to be here.
You're only our second guest. I mean,
Sweet.
5 episodes. Yeah. You're our first female identifying guest, so that's dope.
Cool.
So our podcast, we do like different segments. The first one is called You Good. So it's kind of like a mental health check-in, just seeing where you're at. So let's start. Rob, you good?
I am good.
What's up?
Life is good. I don't know. Work sucks, but that's work. But yeah, been good. Doing, I guess what was our last episode?
Our last episode was last Monday.
Oh, okay.
13th?
Oh yeah. So since then I featured at Shanghai.
Tell us about it.
That was really good. I did a 10-minute spot there, featured, had me kind of in the middle, which I like that concept. Like we do in the collective.
Yeah.
But,
so explain that.
So normally, when you have an open mic, they would like to have the feature at the closing. But I think one thing we've been starting in the collective is having the feature in the middle. So it's kind of like, doesn't tire the audience out, I think. The only back is if people might leave after the feature goes up. Well, that's the downside. But I think the plus is having them. I think it's a plus.
And the reason that we put them in the middle is because at a lot of mics, if you have open micers that are newer or they're running new jokes that aren't developed yet, sometimes people leave before the closer, right? Yeah. So putting that feature in the middle will at least get the features some people, hopefully in the audience, to stick around. And then sometimes they leave, sometimes they don't, right? But you said you were at Shanghai, right?
Yeah, and I had a couple of friends come out from work and stuff. That was kind of cool. That was like the first.
Oh, because you work in Seattle.
Yeah, and so they knew they would rather go up there, you know. So so they came to see me.
I know. So I'm not from here. Rob's not from here. Are you from here?
I've been here a long time. I can say I'm from here.
I think it's weird that people in Seattle act like coming to Tacoma is so far. Like it's 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, people do that all the time. Oh my God, you perform in Tacoma? Oh my. I'm like, bro, it's 25 with traffic. Like, stop it. It's not that big of a deal.
Especially the way you drive.
Shout out. We don't go cap on my California driving. I get where the fuck I need to go though. Period.
Oh, so that was you on the road earlier. No kidding.
No, I'm a good driver, but in California we drive fast. So whatever. People used to say you drive like your daddy, and my dad would be like, I don't drive fast. I fly low.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah, and shout out to Dino Dad and his whole crew of misfits that put on all those shows up in Shanghai,
they do
right?
A lot of shows, man.
Yeah, they do a lot of shows. That's why he's got a little informal crew. He's not. Yeah. I told him he needs to get more formal, like the collective. But him and Rob and Nick and he got a whole lot of people helping him out there. It was
good to get out there and do something.
So you're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
What about you, Mercedes? You good?
I'm good today. Yesterday was a hard day for us at the shop for me as the shop owner and as a new business owner, still learning the ropes and having to do some just reorganizing of positions and responsibilities and realizing that sometimes it is frustrating doing business with friends, I guess I'll say. So we've had to do some reorganizing, but today I'm feeling much better. We got to go today and help the Strong group. Shout out. We went to their summer camp for the youth here in Tacoma and got to talk to 19 really awesome kids who were really into what we do. And it's just, there's so many doors that are open right now that I think that's mental health. I'm good, but I'm kind of still 1 foot in, 1 foot out of different doors, trying to get a feel for them and which one feels right.
So let's talk about the Strong Group real fast. So
Shout out
the homie Kimberly Caskey. That's her daughter's nonprofit, right?
Yes. So it's Vanessa, it's Jasmine, and Jamel. I'm sure that they have more people behind the scenes, but that's usually who you see.
And the purpose of what you did today was what?
So they have started a summer camp for the youth in the area. They do the different workouts, and I think all of them coach a sport and whatnot. But so this week, I'm not sure if they have a 2-week kind of going on, but they have someone coming and presenting to the kids as far as what they do for a living, and especially if it's outside of the realm of the 9-to-5 corporate, just to kind of give options. Not everybody has access to college or to a specific group. A lot of kids don't know what they want to do and don't have access to finding out, other avenues other than what they're exposed to. We only know what we know.
I think my generation, I went to college because that's what I was supposed to do after high school.
Right.
And my mom didn't even go to college until I was 8 years old. So, and my grandparents were both college educated on my mom's side. And so it was weird that my mom didn't, but she didn't go back to school until I was 8 years old. But I just felt like college was what you were supposed to do, right? And I went on and I got a master's in education. I was a teacher, but I'm not sure I love that, and even the last 10 years that I've been here, I haven't been a teacher. I've been in social services.
Do you ever miss it?
So teaching? Yeah.
Because look, we were joking at the shop, we done spent 3 hours with some kids and we all came in there ready for a nap. Worn out.
Teaching is hard. Teaching is hard, but I love teaching. I didn't love. So we're in a generational difference. So can we talk about how old you are versus how old we are? So how old are you?
I just celebrated a 31st birthday.
Right. So 31 versus really old with Rob. Rob's 47. I'm 44.
31 too.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
He is a liar. So we're in our 40s, and you're 15 years younger than us, basically. But with my generation, when I was in high school, we were taught to learn, and then by the time I became a teacher, we were teaching to the test, and I didn't like that. I didn't like the constricted.
Way of thinking,
parameters really around teaching. And there's ways around that, and amazing teachers are still out there doing whatever they want. But yeah, I miss the kids a lot, but I don't necessarily miss all of the expectations that they have of teachers, and
it's very conformative, it's very conformative. I feel like, in my opinion, you're teaching these small people and small minds how to work a 9-to-5, how to sit still, how to keep their focus for these hours, how to.
What was the age group where the kids were with today?
So the youngest was 10 and the oldest was 17.
Okay, cool. So that's a big
so it was
age
a pretty
group.
wide group. Okay. Yeah.
But I really love the idea of letting kids know early on, college isn't the only path. And there's good paths.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like, for me, and this is just the way I grew up, I feel like it was either college or the streets, really. So it's nice to know that they're already this early saying, you could go into trades, you could go into alternate types of work. And that's okay. And you can make a lot of money doing that.
Especially, this is a conversation I was having with one of the kids today, is especially in this area. I was talking to this young man about how there's just a lot going on, shootings and whatnot here in Tacoma. And, as I understand the idea behind what looks cool and stuff on TV and this and that, but those settings are set in areas of the country where they really don't have a choice. They don't have the port jobs. They don't have the access to the money. You can make so much money doing anything you want here, especially in the Pacific Northwest, the whole West Coast, really. Yeah. You have access to, there's so much money to be made here, literally doing whatever you want.
Yeah. So you're good?
Good.
All right, before we move on, are you good?
Am I good?
You're good.
This has been a tough week. So I posted on my social media the other day, probably the saddest recap ever of what's, been going on. to sort of in my life. And it's weird because, you know, I've lived in a few different places, but I do have friends all over the world, and I'm really about relationship building. Like both of you guys know that. And so I know a lot of people and I love a lot of people. And, you know, in the last,
and we love you.
In the last few weeks, I heard that and I appreciate it. In the last few, you know, really in the last like 30 days, you know, I live in Federal Way, and one of my friends was a bartender, and she got murdered after work by a patron who was 86. You know what I'm saying? And she and her best friend, they came out of the bar, and the guy was waiting for them 2 hours after the bar closed and shot them both and killed them. And then a woman who I grew up my whole life with, she's like my cousin. She had a heart surgery June 3rd, 1997. And so she had heart issues, and we knew that. She had a lovely husband. Her name is Dorothy. Her husband's name is Ken. And their daughter's name is Jade. She's 14. And on June 3rd, 2023, 26 years to the day, she passed away of her heart failure. And I don't know all the details. I'm actually going home to California tomorrow to go to her celebration of life. But sounds like there was some misdiagnosis happening, and maybe something that could have been different. And 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, I guess now, a friend from high school, so he's my age, 44, 45, died of cancer. And then like literally 2 days ago, my friend sends me this article on Facebook and is like, did you see this? And I really thought they got hacked by the way that it looked. I was like, is this really you? And she's like, yeah, I opened the article. And two people I went to high school with that were a grade older than me, I think. They were married. They actually live in Vancouver, Washington, even though we're from California. They had some sort of a restraining order, some DV issue. He came to her house and shot her dead and killed himself. And then over at the club at Nate Jackson's, which is, you know, my home comedy club, about a month ago, one of the people that works there, Lauren, she put like a GoFundMe on her Facebook page for a girl, a woman that also works there, Heidi Hearns, who is also my age and has cancer, has stage 4 colon cancer, and it's spread to her liver. And I don't know Heidi that well, but not to get all like Liam Neeson, but like I have a specific skill set, which is like organizing and producing and putting on events at this point. And so I approached Nate and said, like, this is our club. This is your employee. This is your homegirl. Like, you've known her for a long time. We need to have a fundraiser. So July 5th, we're having this fundraiser. We talked a little bit about it, I think, on the last episode. Yeah. So we're having that fundraiser, but it was just insane for me to watch, to write out all of these things. Oh, and then a really good friend who's a comedian in the area, she and her husband, she lost, her name is Rachel FJ. I feel like we'll have the FJs on here sometime. Yeah. But Rachel lost her sister 6 years ago in a car accident. Her sister had a 1-year-old and a 13-year-old, and her mom, Nancy, took custody of them. And the 13-year-old is now a 20-year-old and lives with Richie and Rachel. And last week, her mom had to go to the hospital. She wasn't feeling good. And on Sunday afternoon, her mom died of a heart attack, which was both triggering to me because my dad died of a heart attack unexpectedly, and we're about the same age. I was 33 and Rachel's 30. And now Rachel and Richie, who make a lot of jokes about infertility and having miscarriages and all this stuff, now they're mom and dad to this 7-year-old, their niece. Wow. You know, and they're gonna keep her and take custody and adopt her, I believe.
Poor baby.
That's and so Rachel has like lost her mom and become a mom in the same instance. And it's, for me, it's just processing all these other people's stuff, but it's so much. And it is. And I'm a comforting person. I try and help people. I try and be there for people. It's too much. It's too much for me. And I'm struggling with that emotionally. I was very triggered by the stuff with Rachel. Just because of my own dad, it triggered me. We also, Rob and I went with the homie Juan Forno, another comedian. We actually were at a Blink-182 concert when I read this on what happened to Rachel. So I'm massively triggered. I'm super sad for Rachel. and I'm overwhelmed by the concert that's happening. And the music hadn't even started. I was super overstimulated. So I really had to like disassociate from what was going on with Rachel and my own issues with my dad. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed the concert and like we had a super good time. But like that night when I went home, it was tough. It was really, really tough. The flip side of that, I had an experience last night where I went up to Club Comedy, which is in Seattle. I got on their open mic list. I said, can I go early? And they let me go up early, which is cool.
This is a new club for you?
No, I go there sometimes. I've worked there a few times, and then I do their open mic when I can. But it's in Seattle. Way in Seattle. Because we do the same thing sometimes.
We do the same thing from here. I mean, yeah.
But it's in Seattle on a Wednesday night. So I go up there. I'm number 5. As I'm leaving, I want to go to Flight Path, which is the Mike and Beer Inn, on my way home. And then I get a message from AJ Norris, who's like, hey, you're on the list to go up at Laughs, which is the other big club that's in Seattle. Well, I guess there's 3 now, but anyways, but I had never gotten an email that I was supposed to go up last night at Laughs. They had never told me.
And it wasn't a mic, it was a show.
It's a show. It's not even a mic, yeah. So luckily I'm only 10 minutes away, so I get over there. I was actually only one person like behind. And so they let me go up and I actually did a really good job. I think all that stress, when I got on stage, I was like, I'm going to do my thing. And so I haven't watched the tape, but I feel like I did well. And then I ended up going to Flight Path and getting up at Flight Path anyway. So I did 2 mics and a show last night, which was cool.
Nice.
But it was all unexpected. So like that was cool. The other thing I'm really good about right now, and it's really helping my mental health, is that we are officially, the Old Heads Young Minds is officially out. We started putting out all of our content. Episodes 1, 2, and 3 are already out. And yesterday I aligned the audio version of everything. Shout out to Stay Hydrated Studios and Nook, our producer, for making our shit sound good. But I aligned that with our YouTube. So now everything is lined up. We have 3 episodes out. We're going to try and release on Wednesdays. I actually have episode 4 ready to go. And so on the 5th of July, episode 4 will come out. So that made me happy because I was really struggling with getting everything online and it's really tough.
Probably just a huge weight off your chest.
Yes. Like figuring out how to do it. Now I know. And everything is automatically, when you put it on Spotify podcast, it automatically goes to Google and Apple and everything else. We updated our links tree.
Sends a smoke signal.
Yeah. There's like a little bird that goes out to every subscriber's house and be like, new episode. So you can watch us on YouTube now, officially.
Hell yeah.
At OHYM pod. And then I don't know why you'd watch us. We're not that exciting to watch, but we're fun to listen to. So you can listen to us on Apple, on Google, on Spotify, obviously, on Amazon Prime. I'm just glad that's done.
I'm glad it's done too. Yeah. I'm technically challenged and I'm like relying on you to do all this stuff.
Fine.
It's like, I'm like, do I need to figure this out?
And I have some other stuff going on, some big news that we'll talk about on the next episode, I think. Okay. Some personal news going on, but yeah, I'm good, but there's kind of like an asterisk there, right? The other thing that was really exciting this weekend, and this is not me placating, but like, you had your 1-year anniversary at the shop.
We did.
And I was actually there last year.
Shout out to you for helping organize that and performing.
So last year we got connected because you were having a birthday party and your grand opening, and somebody who knew both of us was like, hey, she's looking for a comedian. And so you hired me to do the opening, which was your birthday party too. And then we've been friends ever since.
Yep.
I mean, we're not best friends, but...
Oh, here we go.
She's not even listening.
No,
we have a secret guest in the background. In the
dugout.
In the back of the studio right now, and I gave her side eye. But but Mercedes and I have been really good for the last year, and so when she decided to have this 1-year anniversary, I helped her get all that together, and that was really fun. I mean, I know it wasn't as big as you wanted,
perfectly.
but it was dope. I thought it was really dope. I was proud of you.
It was. We did expect a bigger turnout, but I don't know if I mentioned it to you. Actually, we did get a handful of new clients that day, but actually the next day, whenever I logged in onto all of our platforms, we had, I mean, damn near 50 new followers on everything. So people were definitely watching the lives and, you know,
they didn't
had
get
heard
the
about
ribs,
it.
but
Yeah,
you got the
exactly.
clients.
I didn't get the food, but.
Oh, shout out to Ren.
Oh my
Martin, who
goodness.
smoked
Ren
all that
Martin.
food.
Yes.
That was bomb.
That's the magician behind the smoked meat. It was delicious. He did his
So
thing.
people who know me, and for those who don't know me and are just watching organically, I'm just a very resourceful person. So if you're like, do you know a guy? I probably know a guy.
Oh,
Or a
sure
girl.
she knows
or
a
a non-binary
guy.
person. But I just know
sure.
I know a human that does a thing. So
You're the Morgan Freeman of the free world.
you know what I say? I say it's because I'm a mom. Like I'm also the mom who has everything in my purse, right? So like if it's not in my purse, it's in my car. But like Band-Aids, floss, like
That's why I can't
pins,
keep a big
yeah.
purse because I'll guarantee if I need something one time, then I go home, I put it in my purse, and then I
Exactly.
never need it again.
This
And then I
is-
go to clean
this
out
is
my
small.
purse, and I've got, you know, a thing of Q-tips and a thing of dental floss and a thing of...
I don't have as much as I used to, but yeah, like I kind of have something for everyone. I've always been like that. So, well, we kind of like moved into like our next section, which is called What It Do. It's just our interview section. So now we have some questions for you, and then you have the opportunity, if you want, to do turntables, which is just your, you know, if you want to ask us some questions. So, do you want to ask the first question?
Not everybody jump at once.
Okay, so like I'll go to like that third one right there. Let's see, oh no, number 5. How'd you get into doing tattoo?
Oh, this is everybody's first question. Honestly, it sounds corny, but the truth is God. I mean, I went to school for medical. My whole family's in medical in some way, some form. And I actually was a surgical tech for, 5.5, 6 years before I started tattooing full time. But it kind of just organically happened. Like I have a bucket list of things that I want to learn how to do and places I want to go. And that was one of my things on my list is I wanted to be a 60, 70-year-old lady and telling her grandkids, this one time I did a really cool tattoo and here's a picture of it. But like any other art form, there's definitely an adjustment to learning new media. You know, the skin is not paper, it's not canvas. And every piece of, you know, skin is different. Every person, it's a different color, it's a different elasticity, it's a different, has different lymph tissue inside of it. So it swells or it doesn't swell or it bleeds or it doesn't bleed. And it took years to get to that point where I did that tattoo. That was the one, which, to drop the mic, you know, like, okay, I can finish now, but I was 9.5 years in, you know? And so there was a period of time where I was working full time at the hospital, and then was also tattooing and working pretty much building clientele for almost full time hours outside of the hospital. And then I left one hospital. I became a traveling surgical tech where I could choose my own schedule. So I started doing 312s so that I could tattoo the other days of the week. And I never intended to do this full time. I never intended this to be a career. I never intended to be. It just worked out. This is just what I'm meant to do. And every door that opens along the journey that I just happened to take, it was always the right time. I mean, even the day I got my business license was 2 days before they shut I drove back and forth because I didn't want to be mobile anymore. And I was renting a room I wanted to rent a room in this friend of mine's esthetician place. And I was like, well, what do I need? You just need a business license and insurance. You know, how do I get that? Oh, well, you got to contact them and then you got to get this from them and you got to get this from them and this from them. And so I just took the next day off at the hospital and I drove down to Olympia and back to Tacoma, and they sent me back to Olympia and they sent me back to Tacoma. But I'm that type of person. I just want to get it all done. And the following Monday actually is when they shut everything down I think it was Tuesday. They shut everything down for COVID.
So I'm gonna double down on that question and say, beyond tattooing itself, because there's a lot of people that tattoo.
Right.
How did you decide to open up a shop of your own?
It happened really quickly, and again, kind of organically. I had only been tattooing full time for about 6 months at the time. I was renting a small room out of another place down in Fircrest. And I had an apprentice. I had an assistant, somebody who did my Emily, who did all my scheduling. Shout out, because she really was my rock during building this whole process. And we kind of just outgrew this little room. And I could tell that we were kind of getting on other renters' nerves by, you know, just being around all the time, clients coming and going. We were there more than anybody else. And so I kind of said something to Emily in a conversation about maybe owning a shop or finding another place. And so she kind of took it upon herself, as she does, which is amazing because sometimes you just need that push, and she started looking at places because so many places at the time had gone out of business and this and that, and we're renting for really good deals. And actually the shop that we are in now was not what we were there to look at. There was actually a unit further down the hall that was more towards our price range and just a little bit bigger than the room that we were in, and about a third of the size of the shop now. And we got there and started walking down the hall to that unit, and we passed our unit. And if you haven't been there before, you definitely should stop by. It's beautiful. We passed the front unit. It's a storefront, a street front. And you just walk in and they had just cleaned and cleared out. I guess it was a tattoo shop right before we were in there too. I guess they were only open for like 2 months, but there was a tattoo shop in there before us as well. And they had just finished kind of repainting the walls and, cleaning everything and whatnot. And we passed it in the hallway and I just looked and it was a beautiful day and the light was shining in on this just gorgeous space. And I just knew, I was like, wait, hold up. What's that? Like, what's going in there? And I didn't even look at the other unit, it was like we walked in and kind of did a spin around. I'm like, this feels like it's mine already.
Let's talk about the name of your shop is AutoTroph Ink, right? Is it
I knew you were going to do this to me. It is not artichoke.
What is it?
AutoTroph.
AutoTroph Ink.
AutoTroph
So explain
Ink.
what autotroph means.
So an autotroph is any type of plant that has the capability of taking a non-organic compound. So in chemistry, non-organic compounds being carbon dioxide, nitrogen, things that don't create water or food for us as humans and animals. So plants that have the capability of taking those non-organic compounds and reorganizing them to create nutrients and water and whatnot for human and animal consumption.
Right.
And so I thought about it. I knew for sure that I wanted a ton of plants in my shop. I love plants. I can't have too many at my house because I have a cat who swings from them and eats them and makes herself sick and throws up in my bed. I wake up and I have a pile of, chewed up lettuce.
That's really
Yeah. So I can't keep them at home, but I knew for sure I wanted a ton of plants in the shop. So I started, and my team and I were trying to think of a name. And everything we thought of, we Googled it and there'd be 10 of them, 5 of them in the area, And so I started looking up plant vocabulary and that was like right at the top of the list. And I just thought to myself, before I even looked it up, I was like, what is AutoTroph Ink? AutoTroph Ink. That kind of has a ring to it. And I looked it up and the definition was perfect because as artists, we take the same needles and we take the same ink and we're able to get to know people, our clients on a very personal level in this very intimate time that we spend with these people and really create something for them that is original and individual for that person. And so I just thought it fit.
And I know I joked about it being artichoke ink. That's because at the just the backstory for the listeners and the viewers. This weekend at the anniversary party, one of the other comedians who you've been friends with for a long time, we were joking about how some people can't say autotroph, or some people forget or like they get confused by the name. But I really love that. And one of the reasons that I think for me, why I wanted you on the show and why I think that I could have come to your shop and just done that show and then got the tattoo that I got later and then left, right?
I'm glad you didn't. Honestly, look at us a year later.
I'm glad that I didn't either. But even though like I'm so much older than you, but I was attracted to
so much
your fuck off.
You're even older.
I know, right? Grandpa.
Old head, young
Pause.
mind.
Before I forget this. At the fucking Blink-182 concert, this motherfucker and Juan Forno, who is only 30 but looks about 55, called me mom the whole time that we were there. No, I appreciate that.
Oh,
yeah,
Because I'm the one who bought the tickets and drove and did all the things because I'm the responsible one. It does not make me your fucking mom. Put some respect on my name.
It was funny.
Anyways, back to Mercedes and AutoTroph Ink. AutoTroph. The thing that I think attracted me to Mercedes and AutoTroph Ink is she the birthday that I was there for, and the opening party was her 30th birthday. And I just thought, as a young, beautiful, single, working woman, I really appreciated that. There's lots of white men in this world that do a thing, right? But like, you're very young, you're very pretty. There's a lot of like,
please don't stop.
I feel like this generation spends a lot of time looking at women and thinking that women just want to get something from men. You know what I'm saying? And that pretty women will just find a guy who will take care of them and whatever. And like, you are like a complete package of a human, Yeah. And so you're talented, and your hustle is real, and you're also honest that you're still learning the ropes. I mean, I have a lot of business experience, and I have a lot of organizational experience, and I love that we could talk about that, and you're open to hearing my ideas.
Please, yeah.
I know you have other people,
I mean,
that
one of my
help you
favorite
with that,
things
but I love
to
it.
say this last year, I think, is I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
I didn't go to school for business. I didn't go to school. I went to school for surgery. That's what I know. And I worked in corporate before I went to school, for medical. But I was always in the medical field. I processed medical records, or I was a CNA, and so this is all new to me. I mean, and it was a huge slap in the face. It was like, we're getting slapped. When we first opened, we were getting slapped for fines and things because I didn't have certain inspections done, or I didn't file this thing over here and whatnot. And it's like, nobody told me I had to,
right.
I just thought I got a place, I paid the money for the place, and I got, some people, and I threw this thing together. And it has been definitely a huge learning curve. And some days are way more frustrating than others, but I definitely don't regret it. But yeah, you don't know what you don't know. But
you also don't bring an ego, that I've ever seen. You don't bring an ego like
privilege.
It's my shop, and I don't know. I love that you. I love that you're constantly learning, and that you are aware that you don't know everything, and but you're gonna figure it out.
I feel like it's a privilege to be around people who are smarter than me. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no challenge. Like, what is there to challenge? If you can teach me something, I'm gonna be so much more. I mean, I'm drawn to a lot of people, but if I like to learn, that's something I never want to stop doing. Yeah. No matter what the field is, no matter what part of life that entails, and some people can teach you in more ways than one, and I do. I really enjoy learning, and it definitely has helped these last, I would say, especially several months, having the people who have kind of naturally, organically come into my life and helped the process, just because they want to, and because they want to see me succeed. I mean, I have supporters that are 10 years old, and I have, I'm not 10 years old, but I have supporters who are, 10-year-old friends of mine and clients of mine. And then I have, friends who are 3 months of that are huge supporters. And it's just, it's dope.
Let's talk, just briefly, let's talk a little bit about Mercedes, like the human. Like, where did you grow up? Whatever you're comfortable telling us.
Okay. I am from Atlanta originally. Outside of Atlanta, Marietta. We moved up here when I was 8. My sister had just been born. I think she was 2 weeks old. My mom moved us up here because she needed just support. Her sister was here and had just gotten married. And so we moved up here, and we moved around a lot. When we got up here, we kind of stayed more in the Federal Way, Auburn, Kent, Renton area. And once my mom got married, that changed. We did that loop a couple of times, and then it was out to Bonnie Lake from Federal Way, and then from there it was back to Federal Way, and it was just all over the place. It was a lot of moving. Definitely have a kind of a gypsy, I feel like, personality now. I also was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. And so my mom was disfellowshipped for a lot of my childhood from the congregation. And so there was a lot of children in the Kingdom Hall that either weren't allowed to or didn't want to associate with me because of my mother's standing. And then I wasn't, because my mom was always trying to become active again. I also wasn't allowed to join sports or school things or have friends from school. So I had one friend growing up, and
so let's be clear. So within the Jehovah's Witness church, your mom did something that kind of made her she was shunned by the church.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that about religion.
I think it's a deeper conversation.
I
think I'm a very spiritual person, and I do feel like the more I have come to know, it's not that I actively practice being a Jehovah's Witness anymore, but those morals and those roots do still stand within. It's a lot of my character.
Got it.
I don't really celebrate holidays. Every once in a while, I might dress up for something, even just because of dressing up, you know.
Right.
But I guess the reasons behind the celebrations of certain things, I don't support. I don't believe in. I don't, so I don't know. I don't practice anymore. I do feel like I'm a very spiritual person. And the more that I have come to understand myself and love myself, my relationship with God has become much stronger than ever before.
But I just think it's sad that you just said your mom was shunned for something, so the other kids didn't want to mess with you because of what you're. I mean, like
well,
that.
And we also moved a lot, and we also, you know what I'm saying? Like
That's
it
true.
just, and I was really young, so there's just a lot of. It's a longer conversation than we have on the for today, but so I understand, the shunning, but I also was raised that way, and like I said, we could probably talk about it another time and on a different,
But do you think that affected like how you make relationships now?
Definitely. I wouldn't say now at this point in my life. I think, like I said, I just kind of have more of a gypsy personality. A lot of the people in my life have come into my life either through work and like one person stuck. Like I've been the new friend in a lot of friend groups over my life. And, like I'll kind of meander over here. Maybe I'm dating someone, or maybe I'm hanging out with a friend from work or a group of coworkers or something for a while. Or I'm in school with a group or, something like that. And then there's always like the one friend from each group that just we lock in. And so now I have, like I said, I have my team and they don't all know each other or anything like that. But I don't really have a friend group. I don't really, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I feel like these days it's easier for me because it's more organic. I'm not looking for it. I'm not craving it. I'm not a lonely teenager anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not a lonely kid anymore.
Were you raised with religion? I know that like religion was important.
So like I was raised like in the Baptist community, and then kind of became a thug. But then like when the time that like after my first wife left the second time, and I was staying with my buddy, like the OG, but she left, and I was staying with a buddy and his mom, and so that she got me into church.
Oh, okay.
So then that was a whole story behind that, and right. So that I was really super involved.
So you were, and then you were, and then you were again. Yeah. See, I have a weird kind of relationship with that too, because my dad was the oldest of 8 Catholic kids. He married my mom, who was not Catholic, and that was very controversial. They had me and my brother. We were the first 2 grandkids, and we were not baptized Catholic. Very controversial. And then we didn't go to catechism class. We weren't really raised in the church. It was weird because we lived next door to my dad's grandmother, who's the matriarch of our big Catholic family. So we did go to church on like holidays and stuff, but we were never raised in the church. My mom, I think they were just kind of like generally Christian. But then when I moved from Northern to Southern California when I was in junior high, I actually started going to like a Christian youth group to try and make friends. But I knew early on, I was like, I don't feel authentic here. And now that I'm an adult, you guys know, like being authentic is really important to me, just being who I am.
Right.
So early on, I was like, oh, this ain't for me.
Yeah.
And then for a while, I considered myself atheist. I didn't think there was anything. And now I kind of consider myself agnostic or just mostly spiritual. Like there might be something out there, if I'm totally wrong and, there is a one God or whatever. I hope I was a good enough person to still get into heaven if that's what happens. I honestly believe, and I don't talk about this a lot, but I think I kind of more believe like the Greek mythology. Like I believe there's multiple gods. Like, and that's where like a lot of my tattoos are from, right? Like especially this whole leg. I believe in that more probably than anything, but. It's interesting where religion
I think for, and I just want to say this for me, I was trapped in like addiction before I got back into religion. And then I became trapped in a religion later on.
Religion is a good substitute for addiction for a lot of people. That's why you see a lot of born again people, born again Christians are former addicts.
Yeah.
I want to tap into something you said about when you were joined a youth group to make friends and didn't feel like you could be your authentic self.
I just didn't feel like I believed in their God. I was like, this is some BS. And I felt like it was me taking a spot that maybe somebody else should have. And like, I'm just like, I don't feel this way, the way that these people feel, you know? So it's just a weird thing. And I just was like, I'm not going to do this.
I felt that a lot. It was hard for me to make friends, even long after my mom was reinstated and married, and both of them were in great standing. And I was baptized, you know, when I was 15, I was baptized in the congregation, and, you know,
so
and
I had the Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay.
And so I had I did have a group of friends and whatnot, but it never, some of them I'm still really, really close to, still in contact with. But a lot of it for me is just, I mean, even as a kid, just never feeling like I could be my authentic self and be accepted and loved. I never got a lot of that. You know what I mean? And so whether it was, the crazy outfits I would wear, and not crazy like sexual, but crazy like I just had my own style. I had my own flair. And it wasn't any like anything anybody else's. Not in my family, not in the congregation, and it was pinpointed, you know, and eagle-eyed, and it was cautious, and it was just this. So I feel like, especially leaving, I feel like I don't consider myself part of any religious organization. I do feel like my roots, once again, do go back to what I grew up on and what I know. But also a lot of, I studied Buddhist for a while and whatnot. And I don't know. I definitely know that there's something that I have a connection with. But I feel much more authentic now. And the friendships that I adopt are much more organic. You know, I like who likes me. I don't care about skin color, sexual orientation. What's for me is for me. And that, you know, I attract what I attract, and that's what I like. I like what likes me.
Question number 7.
Oh yeah, I can ask that. What would, like, in both, maybe with your tattoo shop or whatever, what's been your biggest influence? In life or in business? In life or in business,
since the opening of the shop?
Just in general.
Oh, my biggest influence.
Who do you think is your biggest influence?
Who is my biggest influence? Ooh, that's a good one. I kind of, if you're talking about artist-wise, I think it really depends on like the week. Like I have like I'll discover a new artist. They might be in Sweden. They might be in California. They might be, and for like a week, I'm obsessed with them. Like I'm on their page. I'm learning, like I'm watching videos. I'm learning what supplies they use, what techniques they use. I'm watching them work. I'm looking at their styles and trying to figure out how they designed it, how they planned it. But then, then I'll run into something else, and then that will distract me. And a lot of it too is based on whatever I'm working on this week, what I'm designing up that I want to shadow a specific type of style or whatnot, and doing the research on that. But I don't know if I have a person who has influenced me more than another. I have had friends who have come together and helped me in such tremendous ways, and such, like, I can't repay you type of way, because that's how much it means. I have Lauren here who just built me a website, which has been this looming thing over my head for forever now. It feels like.
Shout out to Lauren.
And she built this website for me. She'd never done it before, and she did it. And it's beautiful. It's better than I could have even imagined. And I didn't realize how much of a weight just that was on my shoulder. You know what I'm saying? And ever since that went live, AutoTroph ever since that went live, we have been getting phone calls, and we've been getting more and more, we just have been much more on the map.
Right.
And so I didn't realize how big that was. And that was something that I was kind of dreading and just pushing back. But now I realize it's probably something I should have done a long time ago. But it's here now, so it's okay. And then just like, again, with you, you've helped me in so many different ways, especially again, with this 1-year anniversary party. Like there's no way there's no way. Once I decided to actually do it, we were less than 2 weeks to the day to plan this and promote this. And
which we will never do again.
Which we will never do again. I mean, if we're open into like 9 years, we might have a 10-year anniversary.
No,
but
I think that we should do things. We just need to plan better, like maybe more than 2 weeks out.
Yeah, and there's personal reasons behind that. I was planning months ago. I mean, we were talking about doing some kind of event, and then something happened in my personal life where I wasn't sure if it would be a good call for safety reasons. And then, after talking to a couple of people and them just basically saying like, you know what, the first year is the hardest. This is something to celebrate. You deserve this.
Yeah.
And you're damn right. You know what? Yeah. You're damn right. I sure do. Like, I've been hustling hard. Like, I deserve this. Like, we're here. We are still here. We are still standing. And, yeah. And so we decided to celebrate, and I could not have done that without you. I mean, the lineup, the connections, and I literally, I mean, within a day we had a flyer and we had a plan. And that's not something that I can ever repay you for, or that's not something that I could have done myself. I was so overstimulated with everything that it was just like, okay, maybe we won't do this.
No, I mean, and that's the thing is, and again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about you, is that I appreciate that you're not like, hey, can you help me do a thing? And then everything I threw out, you're like, no, I don't like that. Or no, you're like, okay, yes. You know what I'm saying? You're very open. You're very like, you're very easy to work with. So I was like, okay, this is, like I have this tables, like I have, when we were talking about, for instance, She Wanted Comedy, right? So I was like, well, you could pay the comedians, or you could just give them shop credit, which
do a trade. I'm always down to barter.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I wish we would go back to a bartering system.
Exactly. And that's what worked. And when I put it out there that I needed comedians, I only chose comedians who were willing to take the credit, to keep money in your pocket. I know your time is worth something, but it's still, you could tattoo at 2 a.m. It wouldn't matter. That's you have the business. Right. You know what I'm saying? You have the time, you have the skill. And then that's saving you money and still getting what you needed from the comedians. And, and
everybody's happy.
And you were just easy going about everything. And so I really appreciate that. And it makes me want to help you because I know you're going to listen to my influence.
Thank you for saying that. I do. You, first of all, you always have great ideas. Like, you don't have a lot of ideas that...
It's just because I'm old.
Probably. Yeah. You live and you learn, but you don't have a lot of bad ideas, and I feel like we know each other pretty well, to where I don't think you're going to shoot something dumb at me anyways. But, I will say, though, that I'm glad that you said that. And a lot of the reason that I'm like, yeah, sounds good, let's do it, is because this was just something extra on top of an already completely overheaping plate of responsibilities that I have. I only have one other artist in the shop. I just lost another artist. I have 2 apprentices that we do lesson plans each week, and they have clients that I have to shadow each week on top of my clients, having a full schedule, and then, and the promotion behind the scenes, and the this is and the that's is, and the designing and the paying the bills, and making these phone calls to figure out why Stericycle still hasn't picked up our needles, and they've charged me every month since April, and we still haven't gotten our sharps container, there's so much else heaping on my plate at all times that it's hard sometimes to make those decisions that seem frivolous, but are not frivolous. Like, I want this to be a great event, but it's almost like, yeah, that sounds great. That sounds great. That sounds great. And luckily you just didn't come to me with any bad ideas. So it made it easy.
Well, I'm a really big believer in karma. And I'm a really big believer that what you put out in the world, you're going to get back. And it might, what I give you, I
certainly hope so.
As the shop artist, as a shop owner and my tattoo friend, whatever, and as my friend, my homegirl, right? Like, what I give you, you might not be able to ever give me back necessarily in certain ways, but I will get that from someone else in a different way. And I've seen that happen so many times in my life that I'm really big on karma, and you'll see this in a lot of my hashtags, specifically on Facebook. I hashtag celebrate your friends a lot. And I hashtag I want everyone to win. And I mean that.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? There are very few people in this world that I wouldn't share something that I saw.
I just read something.
I have big shows on a Saturday night, but I'm still sharing other people's show on Saturday night because there's enough
we all
comedy
can
to go
win.
around. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just saw
Yes.
something and said only people at the bottom compete. The people at the top are working together. We're sitting at a table.
And,
you know,
and that's a big personal philosophy for me. And the other side of that is honestly, I've always done more for people than they could do for me, right? But when I did your show a year ago, we talked about a certain amount of credit that I was going to get. Because I said, you don't have to pay me, just give me tattoo credit, right? Because I had some work to do. And the first tattoo that we ever did was beyond what that credit was. And when I was like, how much do I owe you, right? Because it's like X amount, but then that, let's say for whatever it was, let's say you said you were going to pay me $50, but the tattoo was $200. So I would owe you $150, right? But what you said what we worked out in credit, I know that tattoo is more than that. And when I was like, well, what else do I owe you? And you're like, nothing. And that right there spoke to your character. And so for me, I was like, she's worth investing in because she understands that mutual reciprocation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's why from that very first time, and I never told you this, but that's why from the very first time, A, I haven't seen any other artists, and there are other artists here that I love, right? But I haven't seen any other artists for work. And B, I have put money in your pocket because we've done it. We did a big piece on my leg that was, took 17 different visits because I'm a bitch when it comes to tattoos on my legs these days. But, I've put money in your pocket, but that very first one, when you were like, nothing. And I'm like, okay, I accepted it, which normally I don't, but I accepted it. But I was like, she's a real one, and I appreciated that. And so that's what makes me want to invest in you. And that's why when we were talking about guests, we have a list of different kind of people that we wanted, but I was like, I want to bring her on because this last weekend was big. He was there, Rob came and hung out with us and kind of saw how things were. And I
appreciate that.
I want to promote you and the shop,
I don't feel like all income is monetary. You know what I'm saying? Like there are ways that I have benefited this year. Ooh, there are ways that I've benefited this year because of the quality of people that have come into my life. And kind of going back to your question.
Me and Lauren Rivera.
Shout out to you and some others. But going back to your question, as far as my biggest influence, honestly, my clients, I would say, just the support, the types of people. I mean, I get to work with people from all types of life, all walks of life. You know what I'm saying? And like I mentioned earlier, it's very intimate time you're spending with somebody. You're skin to skin. Most tattoos really do have a deep meaning, whether we understand it or not. Right. Looking at it, whether it's something I would put on my body or not, it means something to you. And it's not just about my name, and it is about my name. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to put something on you that you're not going to be happy with forever. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so shout out to my clients because I promise you, once they come into our shop and they meet our team and they share that experience with us, with me, with Caitlin, with our apprentices, we have a great fucking team. Once they share that experience, we don't lose clients. So, you know what I'm saying? And definitely that is probably my biggest influence, getting to work in different styles, I thought for a long time, I really put a lot of pressure on myself on what am I going to specialize in? I need to pick a specialty. I need to focus. But I like to learn, like I said. So I deal with clients who want everything from realism to literally anime, you know what I'm saying? Right. And the watercolor to, just all gray wash scales. And we're working in 30 different colors of grays and blacks and whites. And it really is all over the place. And I feel like it has helped me as a person, as an artist, getting to know these people and having the ability to learn and adapt and change up styles and hear these stories and be a part of now this story with these people. Yeah. Well, that was going to be my next question. Well, first of all, we don't have to talk about this, but I can only imagine that having the internet must make it so much better. Like you get to see people's work from all over the world. You said, so that must be really cool. A lot of influence. But a shout out to you, or just to let like our viewers and our people know, like, what do you specialize? There's one thing in particular that you specialize in, and I want people to know that because people look for that all the time. So what do you specialize in? I specialize in cover-ups. Yes. The cover-ups doesn't mean that it's...
No, this was also that, but yes. So with that, tell us a good cover-up story. Like somebody walks in, like the worst, like.
No, tell them what you did with Scooter.
Okay.
So, I mean, maybe there's something more impressive out there, but.
No, that's a good one to tell. So Scooter,
shout out to Scooter. He's another comedian.
He is another comedian. He is a dear friend of mine. Him and his kid, they're all family.
Yes.
I remember I did my first tattoo on him in his kitchen when I was mobile, and I remember him, and it was something so basic. It was just like it was some mixture between an anime symbol and the Gemini symbol. And it's funny because we're both Geminis. So of course, we clicked really well. But he wanted it to look like it was like brick on a wall. Mm-hmm. You know, he wanted it to look like distressed brick. And he must have asked me 20 times beforehand, like, are you sure you can do this? Like, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, you got this, right? Like, are you sure you know how you like, but you know, I'm dark skinned. Do you work on dark skin? And so it was really funny. But so he actually has been in the tattoo game and getting tattoos for a very long time. And he's from
very old.
Yeah, he is old.
I think he's just from what, 51?
He is actually older than me.
Yeah, he's 51.
He looks like he's like 24.
Yeah.
He does. In his 50s.
Yeah. So he came from Philly, and he had he has a lot of tattoos. I don't think there's a single. Actually, there's one tattoo that he has on his body that we have not covered yet. And we are actually scheduled next week to cover it.
But like the one I'm talking about is his back. So he had his whole back tattooed.
Has his whole back tattooed. He had a Spider-Man, a quote, some other characters, a graveyard, and some smoke and whatnot. And we covered it with more characters. I'm not going to pretend to know the names of all the characters, but we covered it. There's a Yoda.
But you covered his whole back.
His entire back.
So,
yeah.
I don't know.
It's great.
I
can't even.
Maybe we can send
can't
those.
Even deny it.
Maybe we can send the pictures, the before and after picture. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Could you add those in, like at the end? Yes. Okay, cool. So we can send those pictures, and then at the end of our video podcast, and we'll put them on our website too.
Okay.
Just as an example of like before and after, because that is huge. I mean,
it was. There's
a lot of people that do cover-ups, and I'm not going to say like you're the best cover-up artist ever in the world, but that was phenomenal to look at.
Thank you.
And one of my tattoos, actually, I had an old dragon that I got with a friend when I was like 19, which I still know her, but we're not friends and we're not best friends anymore.
Right.
And we covered that up. I have a whole sports theme tattoo that Mercedes did, and we covered up with a big baseball. R.I.P. to the Oakland A's. That was last episode, but still, I'm hurting. But like, you can tell that it was there, you know. So, but Scooter's that back thing is really impressive. So I just
like
want to make sure we talk about it.
You know, I feel like the more difficult. So the conversation that I have during the consultation for any cover up is I know that everybody, most artists don't like doing cover. I don't know what their excuse is. I'm not going to pretend to know. To be honest, for a long time, I was the only tattoo artist I knew. I didn't shadow anybody. I taught myself. I didn't work in a shop. You know what I'm saying? I was the only artist that I knew. And so I just did what made sense to me when I was teaching myself to do these things. And so with cover-ups, I hear these stories all the time about people who print out something and they just place it on top and here we go. Black rose. That's another one that's very popular. Oh, we can cover it with a black rose. We can do a black rose. You can cover anything with anything, right, as long as the client, you are open to artistic freedom,
right,
in that. So it might not be the style that you were imagining, but if you say you want to cover this with this, we can make that work. And I really do enjoy a challenge. So the bigger, the better.
So before we only have a few minutes left because this is a much bigger conversation than I even expected. So I love it. Real quick, one sentence. Tell us something that people would be surprised to know about you.
One sentence?
Yeah.
Surprised to know about me?
Fun fact.
A fun fact. Oh my gosh, I just drew a blank. I don't think I'm that interesting. I think most people are surprised when they find out my name's Mercedes and I tattoo. I think that's kind of...
Is that your real name?
That is my real name.
and Mercedes ends with a Z.
Yes, I think
that's interesting.
Is that the real spell? Okay.
Yeah, that is. I had to ask.
Yeah, that's my real name.
Okay, Mercedes with a Z.
I don't feel like I'm that interesting. I don't know.
You have to get to know her. You have to pay her for her time.
What's something interesting about me? I love to cook. I think that's probably my second passion. Some
With
days,
cooking?
even my first over tattooing. I love to cook and I can cook my ass off.
So she's making dinner for us soon. All right. Do you have any questions for us, Turntables, before we move on?
I've been wondering for a while, actually, Allison, you have grown so quickly and so much, and you are a face in so many clubs in the area from here to Seattle as a comedian. What do you think your future looks like in comedy? I know you mentioned something about you're leaving your state job that you've been with for a while. So is that something that...
Fun fact that nobody knew about me.
We're gonna talk about next week.
Well, it doesn't matter because this won't air till after that. Yeah.
Okay.
I left my job. Surprise.
So
I'm not leaving my job for comedy, though. I'm leaving my job because I hate my job. But
I just mean, but that's kind of what happened.
I don't know.
When I became a full-time tattoo artist.
Yeah,
I went on a 3-week vacation on accident. And then one day I came back to start a new contract. And when the alarm went off at 4 a.m., I said, no, never again. And I never stepped my foot in another hospital.
I think for me, and probably Rob can answer the same question. As far as comedy goes, I started later in life. I'm not the funniest person out there, but I work really, really hard. I'm going to do comedy until it doesn't feel good anymore.
I like that.
And like some of my...
So you don't have a goal of like owning your own club or traveling to other... Okay.
No. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would love to travel. Although I consider Nate Jackson's my home club. I'm getting more opportunities at other clubs, and I'm going to go where I'm wanted. Some of my biggest my biggest mentors, Bo Blast and Robert Cashmore specifically have said, like, producing is probably your biggest strength and is in your future. But I also want to be good at comedy. So, I don't know. I don't have a goal necessarily in that way. I do want to do more festivals. Juan Forno, who we're going to have on the pod at some point. He's from Canada. He lives here. He works here for a non-comedy related company, but he owns Craft Island, comedy, which they run like 20 plus shows a month up there in Canada, which is where he's from. And they do a comedy festival there. So doing more festivals would be good. Being a regular, like solid feature where I'm working at least 1 or 2 weekends a month, as a feature for the weekend that'd be a good goal. Being able to travel, maybe somebody taking me on the road. I think it will be huge to me when, Nate Jackson takes me on the road sometime. That will be big to me to go with Nate, travel with him.
I'm just starting to get into the comedy world this last year again, knowing you and with Lauren. When you say go on the road, do you mean like as his opener at his shows and stuff?
Either as an opener or as a feature. So like, for instance, at Nate Jackson's, the weekend that I featured for Shang, which you came, Shang comes by himself. So Nate supplies the opener, the host, the any guest spots, the feature. So I was the feature that weekend because that's what Nate chose. Sometimes comedians come with their whole team. Sometimes they'll come with just a feature. Sometimes they'll come with just a host. So, the club fills in the empty spots. Sometimes there are no empty spots. There are nights at Nate's where nobody from here, nobody local is even on the stage.
Like a one person show. No,
it's not a one person show. They just bring their own team.
Got you.
Wow.
So they bring their own team.
How do you feel about that? I mean, in the club, like how does the staff feel about that, or the comedians?
I don't know. I don't work at the club, so I don't know.
Oh, well, how does that make you feel as a comedian?
I would just like to be there. I mean, if there's someone that's there, for instance, I just got asked by the booker at Tacoma Comedy Club to send a tape because Godfrey, who is a huge comedian and very popular and travels all over, and actually, it's a different story, but he wants to look at some tapes to book an opener for him in 2 weeks. Ooh, so the fact that I was even considered by the booker at TCC to be considered by Godfrey, am I the strongest comedian out there? Maybe not. But I know I think it's all
relative. I mean,
host a lot.
Comedy is art. It's another form of art. I think you're funny to who you're funny to.
Yeah.
Just like some people like color and some people don't.
It's very subjective, but just to start getting in those opportunities, I'm not even 2 years in. That's big to me. So I don't really have any goals other than like to keep growing and to keep doing this. I love it. I love it. Even the drama, even the high school behavior behind the scenes sometimes and whatever, like that's how I feel. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of, if you're going to ask, same. I don't want to stay here. I want to at least try to grow and get better. I'm probably never going to leave my job.
Right.
Until I retire.
You have a good job.
You know, I have a really good job. I'm not going to, now maybe after I retire, I can be a traveling comedian in my 70s or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I don't.
Crazier things have been done.
Yeah, I know I enjoy it right now.
Yeah.
And
that's how I feel about tattooing. Can I be real? This wasn't supposed to be happening. I don't know if this is good for everything.
It was. The universe is intentional.
This is just.
Is there anything else you want to ask us before we move on?
I don't have anything off the top of my head right now.
Let's move to dope or trash. So that's where we each share a topic and we talk about whether it's
I
dope
have one.
or whether it's
I have
trash.
one.
Well, good.
How do we feel about lab-grown meat being authorized for the selling in stores?
We
How do we
just did
feel
like Will
about
Ferrell
that?
movies, and she's like, "Let's talk science." Lab-grown meat, 100% trash.
Okay.
trash.
For me.
Trash.
Okay. Trash.
Trash.
I think it's
big
weird.
I think
and
it's
gross.
scary.
beefer.
Like
I'm a
I will
big-
eat mushrooms all day, every day, and I can't even say this out loud. Become a vegetarian before I
Yeah.
knowingly eat
Right.
that shit.
Yeah. Facts.
Nook, what do you think about lab-grown meats?
I'm not with that first wave. Maybe a few years down the line, I'll start trying it. But now, I'm not with it.
You get
Kind
the
of like a
kinks
new
out.
car, like a
Gotta
new
get the
version of
kinks
the
out,
car.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, maybe something will change our mind, but right now,
No, I don't know that it could. I
it's
don't
the
know.
idea of it. Ugh. Okay, do you have one?
Yeah, and it's kind of food related. Like, as an adult, a glass of milk. Like drinking a glass of milk, like as an adult.
I don't drink milk, so I mean I do oat milk
Just
and
like-
almond milk, but it
itself?
is weird. It
Yeah.
does be
eating Oreos? You're
no,
right.
Like,
You're
like,
right. I want to say that I'm
because
not
I know,
biased.
like, growing up, I mean, I don't know about you, but growing up, we drank
Oh, I was a big milk drinker.
milk drinker. But like as an adult now, just drinking a glass of milk with dinner.
What were you gonna say?
I mean, I even as a kid, I think milk was more for like cereal and stuff. And not that I didn't like milk. Now I have my own reasons why I don't drink milk, and it doesn't really settle with my stomach very well. But I want to say that I'm not biased, and that if I see, an adult drinking milk, like it's not going to faze me. It's up to you. If you like milk, whatever.
Yeah.
But I actually saw somebody not too long ago who had just come back from the gym and poured a big old glass of cold milk and just chugged it down, and like
Regular milk?
regular milk, just regular milk, no snack, no nothing, and then chugged it down, and just like with the whole, it was like a Got Milk commercial, and I just was looking
Like
like
a mustache?
yeah, I just was like looking like, you're so weird, like who does that?
I mean, I think it's dope. Like, if it's for you, it's for you. It's not for me. I drink almond milk
I
now,
will
too.
say, I feel like for some reason, I remember like milk being almost always colder than water. Like if you know what I mean, like a glass
like, they add
of
ice
cold
to it.
milk is like.
Yeah.
don't
I
know
loved
why.
milk. My dad and I were big milk drinkers. But like, for me, it's dope if that's your thing.
Yeah,
it's not
dope.
my
Like,
thing. I don't even really eat Oreos with milk anymore.
Yeah, Katie gives me so much shit when
Does you drink milk?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
wow.
I like
drink
my
milk.
Oreos with
That's 'cause you're old.
orange
I know.
juice. Like, I don't know. I'm a weird.
Oh, that's even weirder.
I like chocolate and orange juice. So like brownies and orange juice, or
Whoa.
cookie or
that's
Oreos
psychopath
and orange
talk.
juice. It's
So
fire.
her best friends, me and Lauren, just gave her mad side eye. And we're both
What the-
renegotiating.
Don't knock
our
it till you
friendship.
try it. I mean, you never had a chocolate dipped orange, like it's, I don't know.
Okay,
Don't knock
we're
it till you try
gonna
it.
Nook drinking a cold glass of milk.
Oh, damn it.
It's an ingredient, not a drink.
Oh,
I don't know.
I like the enthusiasm from
Yeah.
that. I was like,
He was
I don't know if
waiting
he's
for you to
ever
ask
been
him.
that intense. Oh, you know what? We talked about
what last week was
reusable
something.
bags.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he went off
Yeah.
for like 2 minutes on it. So
What's wrong with reusable bags? They're good for the
we love
planet.
them. We love them. But we're
Okay.
talking about how like they get rid of them at stores now.
Oh.
Let's see. Okay, my dope or trash. I think we'll just do one this because we're running
Okay.
out of time. My dope or trash is getting your partner's name tattooed on you.
Trash.
That's trash. I think that's set up for failure. That's just set up for failure.
It is weird because being in this field, it's like, I'm not going to tell you what not to get. You know what I'm saying? And if you are forever, then you're forever, But I do, that is probably the number one thing that gets covered, that I end up covering.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's really any science or, karmic energy behind it as far as you're setting yourself up for failure. But, life happens and people fall out in and out of love all the time.
Yep.
And I can honestly, the only statistical proof I have is that is the number one thing that I cover up.
Right.
I have one name on me and it is mine.
I think it's trash too.
I don't think I would ever do it. Maybe after we've been like married for 20 years, maybe 50 years, maybe 20 years. If we hit the 20 mark, I'll put a name on me.
I have my daughter's name.
You see, that's what you do. You put your kids.
Yeah.
You don't put your,
Yeah. I think it's trash. No.
Trizash.
Really?
Yeah, big trash.
He's been married for a long time, so I wasn't sure where he would be on that.
Well, she had somebody's name tattooed on there.
Did she cover it before you married her?
Yeah, I wouldn't marry her till she covered it.
I know that's right.
I heard that.
I know that's right.
I know my best friend had her first baby daddy tramp stamped, and it was terrible too. And I was like, bitch, I don't know who is fucking that from the back because I wouldn't.
You probably hadn't gotten hit from the back in a minute.
Okay, I know I said let's do one, but can I do an addition to that one?
Fine.
Best friend tattoos.
I support.
Okay.
Yeah, dope. That's
I have my best friend tattoo that I covered up.
Yeah.
And I have other matching ones like this one that I have with my niece. And I'm actually coming with my two of my best friends to the shop soon to get.
Even if you don't stay best friends, you know, I do feel like when you share life with a person, whether it's a partner, a romantic partner, whether it's a best friend, those are still memories together. That's still a time in your life where not everything was bad, you know? And I feel like when you share life with someone, sometimes it doesn't matter if it's matching or whatever. When you go and get a tattoo with a friend, it's a memory. It's a signature of your chapter together, you know? And
well, I think that going back to my initial question, which was partner, I don't know that I get someone's name, but I would get a matching or a complimentary tattoo with a partner.
That would I would do
that,
as well.
To me, I look at different.
That I would do as well. I just feel weird about names in general as a tattoo on you forever, because forever's a long time for one. That's what a ring is for. And also because it kind of reminds me of like a barcode, you know what I mean? Like property ownership, or you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I have my name on me because that was my first tattoo, and it was the only name I know in my life is never going to change.
Right.
But I feel like I would definitely get a matching tattoo with a partner or a complimentary tattoo with a partner or a best friend. I'm in full support of that. I just feel like the whole property of thing is a weird thing to me.
Oh, I'm trying to look in the camera. That right there is actually a hummingbird that my mom and I have. That represents my dad.
I wish my mom would get a matching tattoo with
that
me.
Was cool. My mom was super anti-tattoo, and then she got this little Mickey Mouse, and I was like, oh, you can't talk shit anymore.
My mom was anti-tattoo. Can I say this? My mom has been anti-tattoo forever. In fact, me and my mom go through bouts of where we don't speak for months at a time because of my lifestyle. Because of my choice of living and whatnot, my career. But we have been trying to work on our relationship in recent, I guess, years, but in recent months especially. And my mom wanted to get her eyebrows microbladed, which I knew that is the closest to a tattoo she will ever get. And so I took the liberty of learning how to microblade just so that I could give my mom her tattoo.
That's
her only tattoo. And I've had nightmares. Like literally, I've had nightmares about her going somewhere else to someone else, or you know what I mean, and showing up and having a tattoo that she let somebody else do, or showing up at my shop and going to Caitlin or something, you know. And so this is a dope moment for me. My sister came as well. We had fun. I will say, was the worst client I've ever had, but it just was such again, like you asked me why I got into this. God. You know, there are moments all the time where it's just like a reminder, like, no, this is where you belong, and you can still have everything you want. It might not just be under your control. And that's something we
could put a picture of that on the podcast.
Yeah,
too.
I'd like to. Yeah.
Nook, best friend tattoos.
Names are tricky, but I think, you know, matchies are cool.
Yeah.
Again, my wife and her friend, they got two halves of an avocado.
I've seen that before. My daughter has a peanut butter and her best friend has a jelly, or vice versa. That nice. Actually Mercedes did. But and me and my best friends are coming, and we're getting our signs. That's what we're gonna do, is our signs.
Oh, okay.
Our zodiac signs. So okay. I guess we can move on to Whelp.
Whelp?
That's part of a joke. It's basically like, let's wrap it up.
Yeah. Okay. That's usually what that means. So,
Whelp. Since you are our guest, why don't you tell us where you're going to be? Like, tell us where your shop is, all your contact information.
Yeah, for sure.
And make sure you mention where you're going to be on the 23rd of July, because this will come up right before that.
Okay, excellent. So We are located right off of 84th and Pacific, brown building with a black awning. We have a parking lot and a gated. On the other side of the parking lot actually is another tattoo artist or another tattoo shop. So we're not them. Ours is the one with the pretty plants in the window, not with the. I think he has. I want to say it's like a Jason mask or something hanging in the window. Yes. That's not us. Yes. But we're off of 84th and Pacific. Right, kind of across the street from Gloria's or Buddy's, the building that just burned down. Our name is AutoTroph Ink on every
What's the phone
platform. 206-305-6984. And that is a cell phone.
That's a shop phone, right?
That's a shop phone. So you can text it. You can send reference pictures. You can call during business hours, please. But we are on pretty much all social media platforms. We do have a TikTok. I don't use it very often, but one of my apprentices knows how to do it. So Facebook, Instagram. We all have our website, autotrophinc.com, which we now have. But yeah, on the 23rd of July, we actually were invited to be guests at the Southtown Music Festival. So this will be, I want to say, our first actual big vending event. And we're really excited. A little nervous, but
it's gonna be great. I think it'll be great. I don't know if Lauren's gonna be there, but I'm gonna be there.
I want my ticket too. I'm gonna be there.
So we also do for anybody listening who wants to come and get something small or whatnot. We on the first Saturday of every month we do. We are actually starting in July accepting walk-ins.
Nice.
We will be taking walk-ins Tuesday through Friday from noon to 6. During the summer, and then we'll extend it to 9.
On Saturdays?
But on Saturdays, the first Saturday of the month, we do our $80 specials. So that's a walk-in basis. We have flash sheets you can choose from, but you can send, again, a reference picture and we'll get it traced up for you, or, get something designed that's similar. And we do that on the first Saturday of every month. So there's that. We also, we do little events here and there, like little random events. We were trying to do them quarterly, but we kind of fell behind this year. But we're probably gonna have a tea party coming up soon. We did a singles catered dinner. So we had a banquet dinner for singles on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that was cool.
And that was a ton of fun. It was so much fun. We didn't get any pictures. Everybody, actually, that's kind of, we're thinking about doing that too. We had so much fun at the singles event that we didn't get any pictures. Nobody was on their phones. So we were trying to explain how great this was, and we didn't have hardly any photos and videos of it, no footage, no proof. Right. But yeah, we had a great time. So we kind of do little things like that. My idea of, I wanted to have a shop because I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I wanted to have a space I wanted to get involved more in the community. I wanted to have a space to host open mics and spoken word and the comedy shows and just a space where people can come together from all walks of life, because I work with people from all walks of life, and it's so funny how many people have things in common that they're never gonna cross roads. Actually, I have 2 clients who are getting married that met at my shop because they just got engaged. Their appointments were back to back, and they crossed paths in my shop. Yeah, well, not in this shop, but when I was at my previous location. But
we should document that somehow.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just I like making connections. I can look and be like, you know what, I know somebody that you'd really get along with, or I know somebody that you have a lot in common with. And so I don't know, even today working with the kids and stuff, it was so out of our spectrum of people that we normally get to work with and deal with. And so just doing these things with the community and whatnot, we're not your average tattoo shop. I think you mentioned that about one
of those kids might show up in your shop in a week, in a year, in 3 years, and be like, can I be an apprentice?
Truly.
Or they might come and be like, can I get my first tattoo?
I was shocked.
Yeah. So I do want to go back. You said the Southtown Music Festival.
Yes.
That's the 23rd of
Super
July.
Excited.
The headliner of that, shout out to Deshaun Willis, who his team that puts it on. But the headliner that day is actually going to be Juvenile. So that thing is going to be crazy.
I'm so excited.
It's a really dope event. This is the second time they've done it. And that's why I encourage you to get a booth there, because I think you're going to get tons of walk-ins. You're also doing a raffle.
Yes, we are. We're doing a raffle. So all you have to do is sign your name and information on a piece of paper. Come up. give us your name, phone number, email address, and then we have goodie bags. And inside the goodie bags, there's coupons for $80 days. We've got flyers, we've got stickers, we've got all kinds of like good stuff in there. But yes, we are doing a raffle where we will be pulling on July 31st. We'll be pulling 2 winners for $150 tattoo sessions.
Yeah, so it's worth it if you guys, first of all, buy tickets right now to go to the Southside Music Festival. But then on top of that, like make sure you stop by all the booths, support all the local businesses, but especially AutoTroph Ink.
Especially.
You have anything big going on?
By the time this comes out, I'm featuring at Bob's on the 6th, but this will come out after. But Tracyton Theater.
Oh, yeah.
With
Miss My
17th, I believe. Yeah, it's on a Thursday.
Yeah, this will come out on the 12th. So now that I've got my shit together, then we know what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah. The 17th. I'm at
good. So
doing
2
guest
days.
spots.
In
Yeah.
2 days. Go to the Tracyton Theater in Bremerton. It's a really dope actual movie theater. But they have this huge theater that they do comedy shows in. Shout out to Miss My out in Bremerton. So check out our social medias. I have a ton of shit going on. Like I said, I'm featuring in August for Corey Michaelis on Six and Proctor, the new TCC. Maybe Nate Jackson will work me. I'm going to be at Laughs Comedy Club on the 19th and the 20th.
That's the one down.
That's in Seattle.
Oh, okay.
Seattle.
That's in the U District. I have a ton of mics between now and then. I think in July I have like 24 or 26 out of 31 days. I already have work.
Say that, girl.
Some of it's just mics or whatever, but like I have stuff to do all of those days.
Yes.
So, so I have a lot of stuff coming up. I'm excited about the Southside. I was excited to go, and now I'm excited to go and work at the booth and help you out, whatever you need. So check us out. Make sure you just are watching our podcast. Please share our podcast. Now it's on YouTube. Please don't talk too much shit about us because that's not really cool.
Like and subscribe, as they all say.
And
like
if you talk
and
shit
subscribe.
about us and you do it from an anonymous
We talk
account,
shit back.
you're a bitch. So if
We
you're gonna
talk
talk
shit
shit, at
back.
least do it like with your real
You
account.
can send me DMs. I will not talk shit back.
He
but
likes dick pics. Anyways,
very big ones.
all right, I think that's it. Big shout out, as always, to Nook, our producer, and Stay Hydrated Studios, and making sure it wasn't 1,000 degrees in here today because it's hot outside. So y'all stay up, stay safe. Check out AutoTroph Ink. We'll put all the links in our bios, and check us all out on Instagram. Follow us, share us, like us, help us get this podcast popping. So thanks so much to Mercedes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The owner of AutoTroph Ink, for being on our podcast.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Anything else?
No.
All right.
I don't know why
Peace
I was
out.
nervous.